Hey Brock, how are you?
Doing well, John. How are you?
A fantastic summer over here, and I saw you teased a gym shorts video that I think I'm just as interested as any short guy is.
Yeah, man, it's been a beast of burden. I've been working on this video all week, so it's gonna be it's gonna be a good one. It's like I think it's gonna be like 18 minutes long or something.
How many brands did you end up getting?
I think there are about 12 brands total. A couple of them I already had. The rest of them are new. Several that you recommended or reviewed, like Four Laps, Barbell Apparel, Nomad Trunks. A few that I heard about from viewers like High Elite, Built Basics, and then just like the big ones: Adidas, Under Armour, Nike.
Isn't that what's crazy? That's what I found out doing the sneaker roundup is like I knew a handful of them, and then I had a couple more I wanted to look at, but then as you dive in, you just like uncover these brands that are out there, and they're sizable brands, but there's so many of them now.
Yeah, it's crazy how many options there are, and I mean, there could easily be 50 brands in this video, which obviously would be too long. But what's strange, what I think is really weird is you can't really tell much about a brand from their like Instagram and their website and stuff because it's like some of these brands that could be totally just like drop shipping, like AliExpress, Amazon brands, and then you could have like really kind of like made in the U.S., like higher end, really like product driven brands. But on the surface, they could look almost the same, like really polished and like big social media presence. So it's really hard to know what you're actually getting until you wear it for a while.
Yeah, it used to be you would know based on like their storefront, like wouldn't look very polished or something, but now somebody can make their brand look as good as Nike's with a few clicks and some stock images.
Yeah. Like you used to be able to say, okay, if this brand is in Kohl's, versus Nordstrom versus Saks, like you kind of know where it stands. But yeah, now it's pretty easy. Like, nice photography, good social media manager, and you got yourself a slick brand.
So what have you learned trying on all these shorts?
Actually, I was pleasantly surprised with the big brands. I was expecting to not really find anything from those brands, but I'd say my favorite pair of gym pants that I've found yet has been from Adidas, which is really surprising to me. Some of the smaller brands were really hit or miss. Like some of them were really, really disappointing. Some of them were very pleasantly surprising. Like High Elite makes an awesome pair of pants. And I would have never really known about them unless someone mentioned them. So it's cool. I think with anything, I mean, the lesson that I always come away with is like you got to try a bunch of different brands to see what works for you. And I think most guys don't put in enough time experimenting.
Or watch a video that brings them all together at once.
That's very true. Yeah, find somebody who has a similar build and taste and let them do the work for you. I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. What length of short do you find is your favorite? Because I've been wearing the 5-inch short from Four Laps, and like that's now my new favorite short. But I'm sure it looks considerably different on you versus me.
Yeah, so it's funny that 5-inch. I think that's called the Bolt short.
Yeah.
It was like really comfortable, like really high end feeling, but it was just a good length, but a little too wide. So if it's going to be that short for me, I need it to be nice and tapered. But there was a pair of Under Armour shorts, the Atmos, that were very, very similar to that Bolt short, but just more narrow, and they fit like perfectly. It's like my perfect like running short.
The taper. Yeah, I do have thicker thighs from all my years of swimming and running.
Yeah, well, and that's what's interesting because you're a taller guy, but you also like you're thin, but your legs aren't like super thin, So, but yeah, I think the taper is like so important because I hate that if it's not tapered enough, it makes your legs look tiny.
That was actually one of the comments when I did the short sleeves of Mizzen and Main. Somebody had mentioned that there's a wider opening around the arms in the short sleeves that they prefer, and I'm wearing a polo right now, and it's kind of like that. And I think my excuse is just going to be to start using your Strong app and hit the gym.
Yeah, actually, I noticed that with those Mizzen and Main short sleeve shirts, which I've had that problem too with some short sleeve button ups where like everything fits except for the arm kind of tense out, and yeah, same effect. So Gotta do some bicep curls.
I think I mentioned to you I bought a strength program off of Twitter from one of the guys that like Tanner is in that kind of group, AJ Cortez.
That's
And,
right. Yeah.
I'm going to be starting it pretty soon. I'm going to use that Strong app. I'm going to program his training thing into the Strong app, and then follow that pretty soon here.
Very nice. Yeah, that's a good idea, man. How many days a week is it?
It's 7, so there's a program. There's something going on every day, and then there's one like cheat day, like low intensity. But it's supposed to be a pretty intense program. It's like not for beginners, and I'm just going to use the knowledge that I have from when I did lift when I was a swimmer, and then it's just been a few years since I've really hit the gym consistently, other than running.
It's a different type of workout, and so I don't know. I feel like if you just do weights and stuff, it's not really enough to keep you like fit, Like you have to do some cardio and something to get your heart pounding. So, but it sounds like his program, if it's 7 days a week, probably is pretty multifaceted.
Yeah, and I like it too because it has like food and diet plan built in and everything. So I've always said that if I had more time, I would lift, and if I'm told what to do, I will follow it blindly. And so this is like, can't get any closer than that.
Yeah, nice. And yeah, the Strong app is really cool too. I'm glad. So I actually tested out a couple others and ended up going back to it and paying for the premium one because it's just like, I don't know, it's so well done.
What do you get with the premium that you don't get with the free?
You get more workouts. So I think with the free you get 3 of them, and with the premium it's unlimited. So 3 is fine. Like I do like a push pull legs, but if you want like a 2 chest days, like version A and version B, or like for you, you're probably going to need seven unique workouts. The pro version is worth it, and it's like $20 a year or something like that.
Good to know. That's going to be on my list then.
Yeah, man.
Well, you also had some trouble with, not trouble, but Ask It, the unboxing that you did. I was very excited to see that they have short, medium, long, but it looks like even their short was a little short on you, but you liked the clothing overall, right? The fabric and everything?
Yeah, that was, I didn't want to like give like a negative review because I really like that brand. I like what they're doing, and like the fact they even have different lengths is really cool. Quality is really nice, and like, I don't know, I really appreciate like their brand and aesthetic and everything. But I think the problem is, when you have brands that are trying to cater to everybody, they don't, it's too much work almost, or it's too much, it's too hard to kind of adjust everything about a garment to fit a different body type. So like their t-shirts, they were the right length, but like the neck opening was probably, to me it seemed like it was like the same size as like their large or extra large. So it was too big for me, and so it seemed a little awkward. So I think if they had maybe like a slim fit or something in the future, that would work out better. But yeah, it was, I had really high hopes, and unfortunately it didn't quite work out.
They need to hire the Modest Man. You have to have like a fit model agency that you could send out, and you can get the samples and then help them to shape it. Missed opportunity. I
know. I mean, hopefully they seem like the kind of company that like would listen to that sort of feedback. So, but I also think, I think there's just so much room. We talked about this, but I think there's so much room for like really specialty niche brands because they have the bandwidth to think about everything. They don't have to. They can adjust all those little things like the scale of the pocket and the placement of the pocket, which bigger brands like can't really do. And you see all these brands like J. Crew and every major brand now jumping on like the untucked shirt bandwagon, but they're not changing all the other details. They can't. They have too many SKUs. It'd be too complicated, and I don't think it's worth it for them. So I think we're going to see more and more specialty brands.
I know. It's that long tail retail.
Yep. It's exciting.
I know. The last one I wanted to talk to you about that I really liked was your subscription box video, and I think that video encapsulates a couple of things really well, but primarily it was so well written and thought out that it shows that you started off as like a blogger first and then moved into video versus like I think you could have gotten a similar result if you turned on the camera and started talking about your thoughts about it, but it seemed like you had put so much thought into that video, and I think the YouTube robots are rewarding that thought by the way that it's performing. So I really like that one.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that was a fun one to make, and I think I don't know. I'm trying to use like a second camera a lot now because I just feel like it's video, you know. So I mean, and you've been doing a lot of B-roll lately too. It's like it's video is the platform, that's the medium. So you might as well show what you're talking about. So I try to make that, you know, entertaining rather than just telling people my thoughts. Like, let's actually open one up while we talk about it and like use it as an example. So yeah, that was a fun one. I'm glad it's doing well. It did get a fair amount of haters, but I think some people might have felt maybe insulted that I said they were, you know, maybe they thought I was saying they were wasting their money or something, which I'm not, you know, but I could see that being kind of sensitive. So
I know it's a fine line to walk. Like I think about it. It also might be a function of your age and the stage in your style journey you're at. Because like when I first started subscription boxes, I was so excited just to get anything and like experiment. But then like for you, I think I'm in the same place now too. It's like we both have nice watches. We figured out our aesthetic and our style, and so the subscription boxes are really sending. And you saw, it was the same thing in the video. It's like you got a new wallet, right? Or not a new wallet, but you got like a new thing that you already had, or a new speaker. You already had the speaker, and so you know, people on the beginning of that, it's a way different value prop than someone so advanced like us.
yeah, you become pretty particular. I mean, it's you know, like your Thread Beast video. It's kind of showed what you're talking about. Like it was very clear that your aesthetic has evolved, or I guess matured maybe past their aesthetic, you know? And so it's actually kind of funny, like seeing you in like graphic tees and stuff, because it's like not you, you know, even if the stuff fit.
I don't even feel comfortable wearing them like around the house. Like I wear the main T-shirts that I wear around the house. Like I have a wool shirt from Mack Weldon that I like. I have the Airknit X from Mack Weldon. But like even if I go out, if I run to like the grocery store, I feel better in a polo than if I'm just like wearing a tee. I don't know what that I don't know what that means, but I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely. I feel the same way a little bit. Although I have to say, since moving from DC to Tucson, my style has gotten way more casual. Partly out of necessity because it's so hot here, but yeah, you get used to things. I mean, it's like some people are comfortable going to the airport in jogging pants, and like I would feel just so like embarrassed, you know. Not that that's wrong, but just for me, for what I'm used to, I would just feel terrible, like people were looking at me or something. So yeah, I think that's good though to have kind of a handle on what you like and what you feel comfortable in.
I don't even own jogging pants, I don't think. But I like the style video you did too, where you had that floral shirt. I have a couple of floral patterns that I'm really into. That's like quintessential summer.
Oh yeah, those shirts are really cool. So I'm trying to do, like I found this photographer, local photographer, and he does video too. So I'm trying to do these photo shoots where we can go out and take some pictures, but then just take like a bunch of B-roll and put together these little like mini lookbooks. So hopefully I'll have kind of like what you and Carlos did actually.
Yeah, that was a fun day. I mean, we planned that for like a whole 6 hours, going through Boston, a bunch of different stuff, but just to kind of get bonus footage out of the session you're already doing that's smart.
Yep. It's a little like it's a little tough to know what's gonna do well, but it's still fun to do different types of videos, I guess.
Yeah, the guy that I've been following for a while, Parker York Smith, that does stuff like that, he's always got some good B-roll footage. I think his wife shoots a lot of it.
Oh, speaking of the family, so you did the Stitch Fix Kids. That was new in a few different ways for your channel.
I know. A couple of people mentioned like now they were getting stressed out just watching the chaos that ensued, and like honestly, that video is just like standard of what goes on as like they run around screaming. But that was a lot of fun, and I was like genuinely excited to see like what kind of clothes they would get, and I think we kept half of each of them, because like I'm not crazy about the graphic. I walk this like fine line, I believe, as a dad, where it's like I want my son to dress a certain way, but I also don't want to like push him into anything in particular. So like he has a couple of graphic tees with like cars and Mickey Mouse on it. I'm not crazy about them, but I don't want him to be so buttoned up, and so that's one of the things that I'm now navigating as a dad. It's like I figured out my own style thing, but I also want to figure out how to like let him be his own person while also encouraging him to be a little bit more stylish.
Yeah, that is a tough one. Because on one hand, it's like you could just go completely like, yeah, wear whatever you want. On the other hand, you could like totally dress them and like try to instill some of that stuff early on. But I guess no matter what you do, there's always a chance they could hit those teenage years and just become a wild card.
Yeah, and that's what hey, it's gonna happen. So I don't like even when we go to the park, it's like I want him to be in like jeans and sneakers versus like shorts. I don't know. I'm weird about it. I did get a bunch of stuff from him. I have a bunch of credit for Untuck It, and I don't really like their stuff personally, but I got a bunch of stuff for him because they have boys' clothes that are like super cute and very kind of clean. They have like nice tees, clean shorts. So I got a bunch of stuff for him from there. So he's got a pretty nice closet.
Nice. Yeah, you gotta get them on the that influencer path early on. So by the time they're our age, they'll have millions of followers.
I know. I've thought about that too because I do have a bunch of videos from our vacations that are partially edited, and I see a lot of these big family channels. But then, what the trajectory for so many of them is they grow really big and then they like stop because it gets too big, or like some of these channels get child services called on them because people watch it and whatever. And so, I don't know. I know that Antonio is the same. Like Antonio doesn't put his family, his wife, his kids on any of his stuff, but it's not their decision for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. It is a little weird to do something like that without them really having a choice, because that stuff is, once it's out there, it's out there. It does seem like most of the, I guess, bigger, at least on YouTube, most of the bigger YouTubers kind of isolate their work from their family. Like Aaron Marino, I mean, he's even done videos about it, like how his wife is never public facing, even though she's like part of the business, which, I feel like that's kind of one extreme. On the other extreme, you have the people that are like, their family is like 100% part, like kind of like Casey Neistat.
Well, what Casey's interesting though, because he won't put his daughter's face on videos anymore for the past like 2 years. He said once she started to look like a girl, they stopped putting her in videos. Like you hear her sometimes, but they won't put her face on there.
That's true, actually. Yeah. Like Candace is all in, but he'll like tease it almost. Like you'll see like the side of her face, or like the back of her head or something, or like her voice. But yeah, she's never like fully in it. Although his son has been featured in a few videos.
Yeah, it's like she's totally become the guy from Home Improvement where you only saw the top of his head. It's like that's who she is in his videos. Do you listen to his podcast, Couples Therapy?
I actually haven't yet. No.
I find it to be so fascinating because you see a whole different side of Casey on there and a whole different side of Candace. Candace is very different on the podcast than the way that she comes off in the videos. And as a fan of Casey and everything he's doing, the podcast is a whole new dimension. It's pretty interesting. There's so many podcasts, too many podcasts.
I know, there really are. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I think I've seen it on like top of the charts for a while now.
Yeah, and it's also done by Anchor. If Anchor had been out when we started this, then I would have put us on Anchor, but it came out like 6 or 8 months after we launched, and it's an interesting platform because I know Meg Collins and Style Girlfriend is on Anchor, but Anchor can also get you into Spotify. Like Spotify podcasts are tough to get into unless you have certain numbers or like you can feed into their proprietary system, but Anchor handles all that stuff, so it's just an interesting space.
So it's like a Podbean, but like more involved, or what?
Yeah, so I know with their deal, Anchor is like producing the podcast. They have a whole turnkey thing where you just send them the recording, they'll edit it, they'll post it, show notes, all that stuff. But I think they have different levels of how much they're involved in it. Like Meg might do all the editing, but when they go into the platform will aggregate it for them. So Podbean does everything except for Spotify, like it does iTunes. I've been putting these up on YouTube recently, and that's actually how a lot of people found the Huga episode as well. So
Yeah, he continues to crush it.
I know that travel one. I didn't watch the travel one, but every time it pops up on my recommended, it's got 10,000 more views.
Yeah, it's just pleasant. His stuff is just pleasant to watch. Like it's a nice experience, even if you're not interested in the subject matter.
Yeah, he definitely has like the voice for voiceover. It's very soothing.
Yep, looks like that's one of that's our top in the last 30 days. It's our top episode.
As it should be. Guys coming out of nowhere.
Oh, I thought so I don't always listen to like every episode we do in full, but I did listen to the someone sent me an Instagram message. They're like, "Oh, the episode with Christian was so good. It was so candid," and so I did listen to that one all the way through. That was a fun one.
Yeah, and I mentioned in the beginning, like, we ended up having 6 different Skype calls on that one to get all that piece together. And so the fact that it even came out like one big flow was pretty good. But I think that's just what you get with him. Like, when you watch other videos where he's like on other people's channels, it's like Christian is Christian, whether he's doing liquor run or he's talking in front of the camera or he's chatting with us. It's like, that is him.
Yeah, I get the impression that he wakes up like that, and like that's just him 24/7, and it doesn't matter where he is or who's he talking to or who's around. That's just how he is.
Yeah, even when we got dinner at Menfluential, he had flown out of New York at like 6 in the morning that day, and it was 9 p.m. in hot Atlanta in February, and he was like schmoozing with the waitress and like cracking jokes with Anna up until like 10 or 11 o'clock that night. So that is definitely him.
Yeah, he's a character. Oh, did you see another one of our buddies, Teddy Baldassar, is parting ways with his date just?
No, I just watched his Rolex video, but I didn't see, I think was it last night or just recently?
I think it was like yesterday or something. It was an Instagram post.
Oh.
I think he's been thinking about it for a while, about just, I don't know, wearing a Rolex. But yeah, I saw he had a picture of it on Instagram, and I was asking if anybody was interested to send him a message, which I'm sure that one's not going to be hard to move.
Oh, yeah, no, it's interesting. Teddy, I'm trying to get Teddy on my idea. I told you this about a while ago. I had this idea for a live stream to talk about luxury watches, and I tried to get TGV. He kind of stole my idea. I tried to get Federico. He blew me off. I tried to get Jory Goodman. He blew me off too. So now I'm trying to get Teddy to do it. I think it's a good idea. And Teddy, I emailed Teddy, and he was like, "What about this? And what about this? And this?" And I was like, "Perfect." It's like that's exactly what I was looking for. So I think that'll turn out pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good fit for it. I feel like Teddy's a thoughtful guy, and I think, and he's not really. He's funny. He kind of walks the line between like the watch guy world and like I guess men's fashion YouTuber world, because there's definitely like TGV and Frederico and those other guys. Like they are very much fully in the watch guy camp, and then there's like on the opposite side of the spectrum the people who work with like Vincero movement and stuff. And I feel like they're like like arch enemies, and Teddy's kind of got a foot in both camps, so he's able to walk that line.
Yeah, no. Actually, my wife sent me a picture. She was cracking up because she was out at a bar and she saw a guy wearing a watch, and it looks like it's a movement watch, but it was upside down, and it was like that's quintessential like fashion watch. Like he was wearing the watch, but it was upside down on his wrist, and she said it was really funny to her.
It's a bracelet.
Yeah, she's been wearing. Christian sent over that GMT, and he also sent a tank, and she's been wearing the Cartier tank, and I've always loved that design, but man, do I love it in person.
Oh man, that's an awesome little watch.
I know that's gonna be my my Friday pick. I'm gonna wear the tank for Friday.
I mean, what is that? Like 34 millimeters tall?
Yeah, it's an odd size. Like it's so slim, but it's long, and it's super thin. It's just a gorgeous, and this one's hand wound, and I really like that because a lot of them are quartz, but then the hand wound one's really interesting.
That's really cool. Yeah, I really want to try. I was thinking about asking Christian, but I don't see he doesn't really get too many Explorers coming through. But I want to see if someone can loan me an Explorer for a little while just to see how that feels, like a 36 millimeter Explorer 1.
We got to watch out because after my wife wore the tank for a few days, and then I was wearing it. I texted Christian and asked him how much to keep it. So that might be your.
Yeah, well, I keep seeing Noah. He's got a relationship with I think it's like a local Rolex AD, and he's always getting these. Like he had it on his Instagram a couple days ago. This like gray dial Oyster Perpetual 34 millimeter, no date. It was just so nice. Like, man, I gotta get some loaners. I mean, I love the Datejust, but you know.
Yeah, but that's your forever watch. You need something like a little spicy thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we kind of buried the lead here. I'm sitting here with it's now less than 2 weeks at my day job because I put in my 2 weeks on Friday as a celebration of my birthday, you could say.
That's right. That's right. Wow, it's a big week.
I know. I bought a car. I bought a new Mini 2019 on Friday, the same day that I put my 2 weeks in, and man, it was a whirlwind of a weekend because then I just gorged on food because my wife made delicious dinner and stuff. So it's been a heck of a couple of days.
So how'd it go?
Everybody was very shocked and very. My chief commercial officer said he was sad, and my immediate manager asked me to come back later when he calmed down. He said He said this really sucks. I understand, but I had a lot of hopes for you, and there's a lot of stuff we're working on that you're at the center of. And I was like, I understand because this is a decision. I started my YouTube channel with the hope that someday I could do this, and then I pretty much figured out in May what my path could be to going full time, and so this whole summer has really been like a lot of planning and figuring out health insurance and all kinds of like little details in the background, bank accounts and all kinds of stuff, which is why my video schedule has been kind of off. But then at the same time, I had a super busy. I had several projects going on at work this summer, and so like caused a lot of chaos. But I've been targeting the end of August for several months. I've actually been doing a lot of live streams on my personal channel that are unlisted that I'll publish pretty soon. And I'm trying to document this as best I can because one of the very inspirational things, and people have mentioned this as guests on our podcast, is your income statements where you're able to break down and show how you make money, and everything, all the detail is very helpful. So I'm trying to do my version of that, which is like I'm not very detail-oriented or good at documenting, but if I can just talk through it in video, not only will it be a good record for myself, but also help anybody else that's trying to follow along because I can see the path to where I want to go, and I can see all the details in between, and now it's literally just about execution. And my excuse for the past 3 years of why I either don't get this video done or I can't get this thing or that is because I work a 50 to 60 hour week day job at a startup, which is my primary livelihood. And now if I'm going all in on this, how do I take it to the next level? And that's pretty much what I've planned out for the past few months. I have a loan secured that is going to help me stay afloat as I get to that path of complete, profitability. And I'm doing it. I'm trying to be as thoughtful as I can because I know that there are many people that see us as the antidote to very big YouTube channels. And so if I do, I've done a couple of sponsorships, but in future sponsorships, making sure they're up to my standards and my audience standards, and it's only beneficial for, it's beneficial for the audience and everything, and making sure that I keep as much of my Boy Scout integrity as possible. And so I'm going to stop rambling, but I've had this all bottled up for a long time.
Yeah, well, congrats, man. I mean, I remember you telling me about the planned date, and you stuck with that timeline, which is really cool. So I know it's been in the works for a long time. So yeah, I think it's exciting. I mean, you never want to leave like a job or a group of people or whatever, leave a team and then say, oh, okay, goodbye. You want to leave on top. So I think that's just, that's a testament to your work there. The fact that they like to keep you. So that's definitely not a bad thing. But I think the video diary is will be really interesting to watch because one of the most common questions that I get is like, how do you know when it's time? Like, when do you leave your day job? And everybody kind of has a different answer, but it'd be interesting to see the thought process retroactive, but like in real time almost as someone goes through that transition.
Yeah, because the other thing that I keep thinking about is, like, I know my own personality, and if I'm not directly responsible or held responsible for something, I might slack off. And so what I keep thinking about doing is like every single day, every weekday at 5 p.m. doing a scheduled live stream that I just talk about what I did that day, how I did it, why I did it, so that I know in the back of my mind, like if I don't get something done today, I'm going to have to sit on that thing and say that I didn't do something, and just kind of documenting it that way. I don't know if I need to be that aggressive or how many people would end up watching it, but that's one of the thoughts that I have. I know I want to do something like each week, like maybe I'll do every Friday a recap, like this is what I did, this is what I'm working on, because now I've always thought of, people talk about entrepreneurship as having your own boss, but I think for yourself and the way that I'm looking at it now is like I now have 39,000 bosses. Like your readers are your bosses, and they guide you in a big way because you're ultimately responsible for them. And that's our goal, is to help people and make sure that we're providing as much value and help as we can.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I feel kind of the same way. We're definitely more productive when people are relying on me to get something done, but I think that your audience is very much, that accountability kind of built in, and especially if you tell them you're going to do something. If you're like, hey, you're going to get a new video every Thursday or something like that, you're going to do it, because otherwise you've just lied to 40,000 people. So I think there's a lot of accountability, and there are other ways to build in accountability, to an entrepreneurial life. But yeah, it's different, man. Because even with the subscribers, like you interact with them, but it's not the same as like going into an office and having a boss like in person saying, hey, where's that thing? So I like the idea of some sort of, I don't know, public pledge or accountability built in.
Well, you know what I've been chewing on this weekend? This has been bubbling in my mind for a while, and if a listener to the podcast steals this idea, I know who to find. But I think everybody enjoys Menfluential because you get so many people together at one place, and it's about meeting people and being around people. But now that I'm going to have more time to dedicate to the channel, is doing some sort of like smaller meetups, especially in cities I can just drive to. So like I think about Cleveland, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, any of these like smaller cities that don't get those types of events, is like going there and meeting up and doing like a happy hour or a brunch with guys that follow the channel, and just having like an excuse to go out and like either get dressed up or like meet people in person. Because I mentioned that I was going to LA on my story, and I got messages from like a dozen guys that said like, hey, when you're out here, let us know, let me know, I want to meet up or something like that. And so I think I'd do that, and it's a way of just like keeping a direct connection, hearing directly from people who follow the channel, and video ideas, feedback, all that kind of stuff. And New York would be a big one for that. We've talked about this New York trip or New York meetup for a couple of episodes, and that's still on the table. But even just doing some of these smaller cities where they don't have a big base, but if I can meet up with 5 really cool guys, that's worth the trip.
Definitely, yeah. And I think that stuff is going to be much more realistic now, now that you have time and more, brain space. And I think those trips can be, I've been wanting to do more stuff like that too, where it's like, you can kind of have like a multifaceted trip. So say you go to, I don't know, like Philly or something, or Chicago, and you do a meetup, but then you also schedule like a photo shoot with a photographer there, and maybe create, some content with another content creator who lives there, and like, visit a couple menswear stores. So you kind of like make it a really full experience, maybe even like, do a vlog about the trip. And I think that's like, I don't know, that's totally worth the expense and the time,
Yeah, and even like in Pittsburgh, I know I've got a pretty good base of people that have found me here through the channel, and I haven't done anything to meet up with guys here, even though I know on a first name basis a lot of them, and that's just been a function of like I come home from my day job, I spend as much time with my family, and then I go right to bed. It's like I don't have that extra space, and so to try and do some more of that kind of meetups, I think would be pretty cool.
And so is the 2-week deadline an actual 2 weeks, or do you think they're going to want you to do a softer transition, or what?
They asked for a little bit more time, but I've never seen anybody work the entire 2 weeks here. They usually turn in their stuff early, or they get asked to turn in early. So I don't really know.
Yeah.
So September 7th, as of now, is probably my last day, but we'll see. And I'm trying to figure out, do I put this out as a video? This is the first time I've talked about it. I didn't mention it on my story or anything yet, but I went to my barber on Friday too. So on Friday, I had a half day. I went in, I talked to my bosses and everything, and then I left halfway through the day. I bought a new car and went to the barber. I was like, "Hey Vince, how's it going?" And he goes, "Oh, good." He goes, "Had a new car?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I got a new car and I quit my job." He goes, "That's a planner right there." I was like, "Yeah." Because I got a new car because my lease was up. I didn't just go out and just buy a new car for the hell of it.
Right. That's hilarious, though. It's so funny that like the barber is like one of the first people to know about these. Like that's just the relationship that you have with the barber.
Yeah. Well, I told him in May. I was like, "Hey Vince, this is my plan. I'm going to leave at the end of August." And he's like, "Good for you. Let me know how I can help." Oh,
That's awesome.
I like him. That's the video series I did. That's the barber.
Okay, yeah, that's right. And the studio is totally ready to go, pretty much.
Well, my brother's like 6 weeks behind on building my shelves, which is going to help me clean things up and organize. But otherwise, things are good out there. Even the summer, even on some of the hottest days, it was fine working out there. And I worked out there a lot last winter too, so I know I can keep it warm. And that was one of the big things I was trying to get finished, because now I've got a space to leave the house. And it's funny because part of what has made me so excited to move into this full time is my son recognizes now when I leave. He recognizes if I'm going on a plane for a few days, and he gets really upset. But even if I tell him I'm going to the office, he'll be like, "Oh, Daddy, stay home. Daddy, you come home early." But if I tell him the night before, because I took a couple of weeks where I just stayed home. I took a couple of vacation weeks, and I would work in the studio all day, and he is happy that I'm in the studio because I go out and work at 5:30. I work until about lunch, come eat lunch with him, put him down for a nap, and then I go work some more. So a huge thing of this is spending more time with my family and being in control of my schedule and having just more time to create great videos and build out the site. And so it's at the same time the scariest and most exciting thing I've ever done.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a great move. Personally, I think it's going to be awesome, and obviously difficult and probably a little bit of a roller coaster. But I mean, you're not going to look back and say, "I wish I had been more conservative and worked harder and not gone for this." So I think if you look at it as minimizing future regret, I think this is the move.
Yeah, and I'll never be 27 again.
Yeah.
As of yesterday.
That's true. Yeah, man. Crazy. So you think you'll keep the same schedule, like going to bed early, waking up early?
I really like that, except I'm thinking now that I might do the gym first thing in the morning. I was trying to figure out if I should do it in the morning or go out right after lunch or something, so I'll figure that out. But I like the early mornings. I like getting stuff done and then heading out.
Nice. Well, very exciting.
I know. I'm looking forward to it, and I'll keep documenting as much as I can, and I appreciate all the chatting that we've done over the past 18 months almost.
Yeah, wow. Time flies.
I know. It feels like 6 months.
Yeah, it really does, man.
And I've already got my tickets from Influential next year, so no matter what, I should be down there.
Very cool. And then we're going to be hanging out soon in LA, which is going to be an awesome trip.
Yeah, we should. I mentioned I want to try and get some sort of meetup out there, and that I'm also going to be on the James Bonding podcast, and I'm excited to do that too. So there's so much good stuff. It's it's very exciting.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we should definitely do a meetup, but we can talk more about that later.
Need to find a speakeasy that we can just make a big credit card bill again.
Yeah, there's a really cool speakeasy in the Line Hotel. I went there with Baron and Andy and Dorian last time I was in LA, and it was a lot of fun. I would definitely go back. It's 80s themed.
I feel like there's got to be just a whole alley of speakeasies in LA. There's that place is so dense.
Oh yeah, there's probably so many cool bars, but I think we're staying in. I think we're in Hollywood, but I'm not sure because they moved houses.
Well, we'll figure out details and then we'll share them out, because I know there's lots of guys in California that my Instagram analytics can tell me that.
Yeah, for me, I think on any platform, it's like New York and LA are like the two hubs for U.S. Traffic. So, yeah, I think we could have a pretty sweet meetup.
Well, great. That's the Button Up Podcast for this week, and I'll be sharing that news pretty soon, and I'm looking forward to your gym video, because I always like trying new stuff.
Yeah, man. And, that's what you get when you listen to the podcast, by the way, is breaking news like this that that you can't hear anywhere else. So if you like it and if you're still listening, definitely leave us a review, because it really helps, on iTunes especially.
Yeah, even if you're a Google Play user, just go over there and sign in and let us know, because I don't use iTunes personally, but I know that you got to leave those reviews. For my favorite ones, I go over and do it.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a few, but yeah, we need some more. So either way, thanks for listening, though.
Thank you for listening to the Buttoned Up Podcast, a collaboration between John Shanahan of The Cavalier and Brock McGough of Modest Man, and we will see you next week.